In economics, relativity is an important concept. Everything is relative. The value of something is usually regarded in relation to something else. So, for instance, if we're interested in knowing the strength of any currency, say the dollar, it can be compared to another currency such as the euro, the sterling, or the yen. All the major currencies of the world are usually paired together. In terms of assessing their strength, it's common practice to regard them in relation to each other. Relating currencies to other currencies is all well and good, perhaps, but relating currencies to precious metals is an altogether different thing. In my opinion, it's a much better way of looking at the strength of currencies. So, let's look at the gold price as measured in US dollars. At the time of producing this video, the price of gold per ounce was $183. I should say that this is the paper price, the price in the paper market, not the price in the physical market, the actual purchase price. But I don't want to get too sidetracked by talking about this. So, if you look at a chart, you will see the price action over time. Gold.org has a good interactive chart which goes back to January 1970. By looking at this chart, we can see that there's been a steady rise in the price of gold over the years, fluctuations and dips notwithstanding. We can see that in December 2015, the price of gold per ounce was just over $1,000. So the price has doubled in an 8-year period. What else does this chart tell us? It tells us that the price of gold has been rising, obviously, that the general trend for gold is up. There is, however, another way of looking at this that you might want to consider. I would suggest that you look at the chart in a different way. Flip the chart over on its horizontal axis, so along the x-axis with the dates. The line is then declining. You can ignore the dollar values on the vertical y-axis, they're not really relevant for now. What is the point in doing this? If you've flipped the chart, then this will show you not the price of gold in dollar terms, but the value of the dollar as it relates to gold. By looking at it this way, will show you how much the dollar has declined in value as compared to gold since after the Nixon shock in 1971. So, the takeaway from this little exercise is a rising price of gold as measured in dollars tells us that the dollar has been losing some of its value relative to gold. Moreover, we can say that over that time period, the dollar has undergone a very significant devaluation. In fact, as Alistair MacLeod said in a recent interview on YouTube channel Liberty and Finance, open quotes, the dollar has lost something like 98% of its value measured in gold since 1971, close quotes. The price of gold per ounce has been bobbing around $2,000. This time 50 years ago, on the 1st of May 1973, it was $90.50 per ounce. So the price has gone from just over $90 to about $2,000 per ounce. That's pretty staggering in my opinion. The same approach can be applied to any currencies. Indeed, a good way of assessing the state of any currency is to compare that currency to gold or silver. I would actually go further than that and say, to my way of thinking, gold and silver are by far the best measures that can be used for valuing a currency. Price action in the precious metals markets is important because the value of currencies can be directly compared to the value of precious metals like gold and silver. We should bear in mind that the standard 4/9 refined gold in the US is no different to standard 4/9 refined gold for sale in the UK, Japan, Brazil, Turkey, or anywhere in the world. So gold is something of a consistent gauge. It therefore acts as a very good measuring device, much like a mercury in a thermometer. In summary, measuring currencies by means of precious metals like gold and silver will give a good indication of a currency's real-world strength. While we're on the subject of strength, in my opinion, when considering the strength of currencies, it's important to think in terms of purchasing power. Purchasing power is the ability of a currency to pay for goods and services. When the purchasing power of a currency decreases, the ability of that currency to pay for goods and services decreases. In this case, the product we're focused on is gold. So let's return to talking about the dollar and gold. The price of gold per ounce now is around $2,000, but in 2015 it was just over $1,000 per ounce. There are a number of ways to view this phenomenon and to talk about it. We can say that gold has become twice as expensive, or that the price of gold has doubled, or we can say that the price has risen. Let's refer to this as the rising prices view. Another way to say that is the dollar has lost strength or purchasing power in comparison to gold. Let's refer to this as the purchasing power view. Essentially, when the purchasing power of the dollar decreases, the ability of the dollar to buy gold decreases. The loss in purchasing power means that more dollars are required to pay for that same ounce of gold. More of that currency is required to purchase the product. To say it yet another way, it takes more dollars to pay for an ounce of gold now than it did before. We have to bear in mind that gold doesn't change. Gold is gold and always will be. What has changed in this scenario is the strength of the dollar relative to gold. So you might see the rising price of gold and think gold is getting more expensive, but I would suggest it's best not to think in terms of the product rising in price or getting more expensive. I would encourage you to switch your thinking and instead think of the currency losing some of its purchasing power in relation to gold. This, by the way, is true of any product, not just gold. With all this in mind, the value of currencies can be directly compared to the value of precious metals like gold and silver. In general, comparing gold with currencies should provide you with all the evidence you need to have an understanding that something is seriously amiss with all the currencies in the world. If the price of gold measured in that currency is high, then you know that the real value of the currency is low. When comparing currencies to either gold or silver, currencies will be found wanting. I would encourage you to do your own research on this and all other matters that I talk about. If you find fault with my thinking or come to conclusions that are at variance with mine, then I would be interested in hearing what you have to say in the comments. If you can then persuade me that I've made a mistake in my thinking, then I'll do my best to re-evaluate my position accordingly. To finish off, I want to say that this is the principal reason that our overlords manipulate the price of precious metals. They know that if they suppress the price of gold or silver in dollar terms, then the value of the dollar will be seen as better than it truly is. Precious metals are the proverbial canaries in a coal mine. They alert people to what is actually occurring with regard to the value of dollar and other currencies. Silver is half the price it was in 1980 when it got up to just under $50 per ounce. This is totally crazy. What other product in the world is half the price it was 40 years ago? For anyone who's interested, I've talked about manipulation that takes place in the precious metals markets in other videos. Anyway, we can say that if they didn't do their price suppression, then the price of gold in currency terms would be far, far higher than it is now, and people would realise that something was wrong. It's really that simple. Moreover, as far as I'm concerned, comparing currencies, one currency to another currency, is a form of distraction. Look over there, not over here kind of thing. The other way of saying this is it's a psyop, a psychological operation. It's all about perceptions. Perception management is the name of the game because perceptions are very important to our overlords in order for them to keep in control and maintain power. They are without doubt a bunch of crafty cunts. Finally, you're not supposed to know about all this stuff, so keep it a secret. I'm kidding, obviously. Tell as many people as you can. Everyone on the planet needs to know about this stuff. Wise up and rise up.